We next have Paula Polglay and Sarah Brody with Be Seen, Be Heard.
Oh. Here you go. Sean's our clicker.
Good afternoon. We are excited to present Be Seen, Be Heard, a podcast created and sponsored by Women for Madison to lift the voices of successful and influential JMU women. My name is Paula Polglay, and I serve as a Senior Development Officer on our Strategic Gifts team.
Hi, I'm Sarah Brody. I'm a graphic designer on the Advancement Marketing team. And Paula and I, in addition to our regular JMU jobs, volunteer as Women for Madison staff. And we thank you all for giving us your day today, both those of you in the room and those of you on Zoom. So we asked some people around campus about podcasts, and this is what we heard. Oh no, we have no sound. Oh no, this is bad.
I don't think it's started. It's good. We'll go to the next slide.
So, that was a lot of good feedback about when people listen to podcasts and what kind of topics they listen to. And there were some diverse answers, which I wish you guys could have heard. But let's talk about just how popular are podcasts. 80 million people listen to podcasts every week. And COVID, over the last 2 years, has dramatically increased the number of listeners. And the audience is more diverse than ever, as are the topics of podcasts. And people listen to podcasts a lot of the time when they're home, but also when they're in the car, when they're walking to and from, when they're exercising. People listen anytime they can because podcasts are very accessible. In fact, podcasts are now a mainstream source of entertainment and information for many Americans. I want to quote a 2020 article that I think sums it up well. Active people love passive content, the one that lets you do something else while you're listening to your favorite new episode. Podcasts are not just the present, they are the future. This chart shows the growth in podcast listeners from 2013, which happens to be the year Women for Madison was founded, to January 2021. And you can see the steady upward trend that podcasts are enjoying, with millions more people tuning in every year. And with the diversity in topics that are out there and people who are listening, this trend is not going to end anytime soon.
So our efforts with Women for Madison are also on the rise. We were created as a program to honor and sustain women's philanthropy at JMU, and we are in our 9th year showing unparalleled success. We implemented a major restructuring 18 months ago, and we really decided to focus on our philanthropic mission to support JMU students. So we launched the Amethyst Circle in 2021 with the goal of 10 founding members who would give $15,000 to establish this fund, and a goal of 200 women who would give $5,000 every 2 years so that we could donate $1 million every 2 years to support student scholarships. Currently, we have 65 founders and 125 Amethyst Circle members, on our way to 200. The most exciting part, we met with the foundation this week and have been assured that the first of our funding is going to support our incoming 2022 students. We've also expanded our programming. We started with one in-person event in 2014, and from that we've added more and more programs over the years. We were able to pivot during COVID, and we offered 3 webinars as well as a 2-day virtual summit, all within the last 18 months. So we really think the Be Seen, Be Heard podcast is a natural next step for Women for Madison. We're interested in marrying the popularity of podcasts with the rise in participation in Women for Madison. We can really take advantage of the attraction of podcasts as we engage with our constituents wherever they are, whenever it is convenient for them. So we'll be able to connect listeners even better to the Women for Madison mission, more frequently and more seamlessly than ever before. The Be Seen, Be Heard podcast will spotlight high-achieving JMU women speaking candidly about their lives, their experiences, really telling their stories and giving their advice. Our podcast, our intention is to feature powerful female voices in candid dialogue, but these experiences and issues will really reach a broader audience that everybody can relate to. So let's imagine it's Saturday afternoon. You have a lot of work to do around the house. And to make that a little bit more bearable, you click on the Be Seen, Be Heard podcast. Soon you're listening to JMU alumna Lindsay Zarniak share her story of her career journey from being a sports reporter to a sports anchor, and then on the sideline reporter. Or maybe your daughter calls in the middle of her run. She's listening to Be Seen, Be Heard, and she had to pause it and call you because she can't wait to tell you to tune in to listen to 1993 alum Jocelyn Nicole Johnson, who just wrote a book called My Monticello that really dives into issues like racism, climate change, what it really means to build community. Or maybe you sit in your driveway for an extra 10 minutes to finish listening to softball coach Lauren Laporte talk about the 2021 Cinderella season for her team and all the lessons that they learned from that.
So here's our plan to make those kind of moments happen. We'd like to launch the Be Seen, Be Heard podcast in January 2023, and we'll produce a new 30 to 45-minute episode every 2 months. We feel like this is a manageable schedule based on our resources and the learning curve that we're going to face. In order to build our listener base and a sense of momentum, we're going to take the episodes, condense them, repackage them as mini-casts or microcasts the month after they're released. So there will be something released every single month. We will plan to be very deliberate in choosing inclusive podcast topics that will resonate with a broader audience, not just women. Within the Women for Madison community alone, we have many resources to tap for hosts and guests. We have psychologists and other healthcare professionals. We have sports figures, C-level executives, life coaches, authors, and entrepreneurs. We will also create a feedback loop to solicit our listener suggestions for future topics and guests. We had a lot of success with that with our virtual summit. Be Seen, Be Heard will also allow us to spread the word about Women for Madison and the Amethyst Circle, spotlighting our scholarship recipients, announcing upcoming milestones, seminars, and our summit, and we can promote fundraising opportunities like our rallies, circles, and special events. Our funding request is heavily weighted towards staffing with additional outlays for branding and marketing, cloud-based storage, and equipment. We are very excited about the creation of these two positions for students. We feel this adds an even more meaningful and deeper dimension to our mission of supporting JMU students. Today we're requesting a total of $24,774 to launch and fund the pilot year of Be Seen, Be Heard. The student employees will assist with booking guests and interviewers and the logistics thereof. They will help with marketing, the podcast recording, and post-production. And they're going to need a shared computer for their work. We will submit the podcast to industry directories, which is how listeners will find it, and we'll promote it through social media ads. And we'll need to create the branding assets to support our marketing and advertising efforts. And we'll have to obtain a secure web hosting service for the podcast.
So we're dreaming big. Our goal is for Be Seen, Be Heard to be wildly popular in the JMU community and beyond. In year 2, we'll seek campus partners to help us bring these podcast episodes to life. Women for Madison members, alumni-owned businesses, and local businesses will flock eagerly to sign up for advertising and sponsorship opportunities. The Be Seen, Be Heard podcast will help Women for Madison reinforce our connection between student success, alumni engagement, and support for JMU. Your endorsement and funding of our podcast will build the launch pad and really give the vote of confidence that will encourage others to join us. Our ultimate goal with Be Seen, Be Heard and Women for Madison is to create a culture of philanthropy at JMU. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? We're prepared. Yes, sir.
Great presentation and great mission. Fantastic work, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your vision of connecting with other partners across JMU, in particular the Alumni Association, to really bring this to scale?
Yeah, great question. I would say several different ways. We have had great success in partnering with the Alumni Association, certainly with getting the word out, certainly with using their expertise. You know, they have literally a wealth of, I'll just go straight to alumni board members alone, chapter members. You know, I think with anything we do at JMU, it's, you know, we don't know who we don't know. So the more we can expand, you know, who we know, and the Alumni Association, I would say, would be our top partner as we reach out and utilize those other campus partners. Campus partners, though, across the board, I'll give you an example. We did a great webinar in last spring, I believe it was, on Title IX. We partnered with the alumni or with athletics to do that. And then Marianne Alger was the host of that webinar. So I think, you know, maybe it is who we are, but we are collaborative by nature.
Yes.
The presentations that we're hearing today, there are a couple of kind of common denominators. One is that they're student-centered. Really, how do you get students involved with them as they continue to grow through their JMU experience? And the other is most of these projects are all based within an academic program. They've got a home, if you will. So in this case, although you mentioned a couple of students will be involved, this is administratively based, coming out of the advancement office. So what's your response to those who wonder, number one, how do you get more students involved if it's kind of student-based? And it may not be, but just your response to that. And second, what distinguishes this from any other advancement initiative that the university ought to be paying for as you're looking at engaging more members of alumni and other members of the community in becoming involved with JMU?
I think that the podcast is going to function on several levels. So as far as student involvement, of course, initially we have the 2 student employees, and that's not a lot of people, but we hope this will make an impact on their lives. Initially, that'll be the first level of involvement. By elevating, you know, JMU voices that we're going to tap into, the expertise, we are going to support our new status as an R2 institution, being seen for who we are. We really feel that this is going to help JMU at large as well, as we appeal to, you know, one of the slides said we've got 150,000 living alumni, 40,000 parents. The word will spread about JMU. That will help also with recruiting efforts, we feel, in our overall reputation. But our main thrust at Women for Madison is to get the money in for scholarship dollars. And that's going to be where the biggest impact, we hope, from our efforts. And the podcast is supplementary. I mean, Women for Madison has a lot of very enthusiastic people involved in it. And so I think that we can convey that through the podcasts. We're going to attract more people to our events. And in the end, we want to support students through scholarships.
I would say the second part of your question, having sat kind of on the side of the room, near where you're sitting, the thing that all of these presentations you'll see has in common is probably you're like, wow, that's a great idea. Why doesn't JMU fund that? So we're in that same boat. I think what we want to be is a Madison Trust success story. We want to be funded in year one and have it take off so that our campus partners and our alums and our business owners invest, and so that we become a true success story kind of out there on our own.
It won't be a drain on the university.
I'll just add too, I'm Candy, I'm with the Women's Madison team. We do have a plan. If the first year is successful, years 2, 3, 4, and 5, we would like to look at some of the alumni partners we have there in our business directory, ask other people if they want to support it, run ads, have like a sponsorship kind of thing. I just actually was at lunch with an alum and was telling her about what we're doing today, and she's like, you let me know when you're ready, and I'm going to sponsor your first podcast. So I think there will be interest for people to sponsor it once we get going.
Yeah.
And just to kind of, that's our Zoom question as well from Cosette is, would you go first to individuals who are alumni to give them the opportunity to advertise their business on the podcast or to promote their companies and expertise as well?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, we are about JMU.
Brandon.
Has anyone else on campus, any other departments or anything, done anything similar to this or has an ongoing podcast?
Yeah, great question. So yes, several departments on campus we have a podcast called Democracy Now! Through the Center for Civic Engagement. We have the Health Center just started a podcast. Interestingly, our students in the history department, I believe they take a class and are learn these techniques and about interviewing and podcasting. We actually have several fairly successful alumni who I think we can use as a resource as well. Several around athletics and sports alums that do this, as well as Lindsay Zarniak that we mentioned, Jennifer Morgan, Glennon Doyle, all alums that have successful podcasts. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for the presentation, by the way. It's great stuff. Curious about, and if I missed it, I apologize, but can you talk a little bit more about the well-known host part of things? Podcasts, obviously, is very important to have that continuity and the successful podcasts out there. You got these people that were able to kind of run the show and be able to kind of have that continuity, asking great questions, engagement, etc. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what's being supported?
One of our visions is to, when we pitched this to our Executive Advisory Council, which is like the JMU AA board, the response was immediate, and they were really excited about it. And I think there's some women on our council who actually have had experience with podcasts, we're very interested in it, and I think we would work with them and train them to be our hostesses. We really want to engage our volunteers, engage our JMU alumni, and we think this is a really neat way to do that in a totally different way than we used to before. Not everybody was for that. Some people are like, oh, I don't want my voice on a podcast, but there certainly were, I would say, 5 or 6 ladies who right away said, I would love to be trained to be a podcast host.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Other questions? All right. Well, thank you, Sarah and Paul.
Thank you all.